Kahalal Malak Yahweh Wa Yahushai Ba Hashem Archak Wadash. Double honors to the elders of Jemes Ruel. Blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Barakatah. Today's lesson: the Russians are winning the war. And here I have an article, an RT article of the Venezuelan President Maduro, saying that Russia is defeating the West. In another article in which I was reading, it says that Venezuela is soon to join BRICS. But further reading says, Russia is defeating the West, Maduro. The Ukraine conflict has become unsustainable for the U.S., the Venezuelan president said. It further says, Russia is defeating the U.S. and its allies on the battlefield. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has said, referring to the backing of Kiev by the West in its fight with Russia, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine is an immoral war, which has been imposed on Moscow by Washington and its satellites. Maduro said during a Q&A session that lasted nearly 3 hours on Monday. Further reading says the West was shaping that theater of war against Russia, but the country has successfully resisted this pressure, he said. Today, Russia is stronger economically. Today, Russia is winning the war on the battlefield. It's defeating the entire West on the battlefield, the president stated. The conflict has become unsustainable for the U.S., which has been the prime backer of Ukraine since the start of the conflict in February 2022, Maduro argued. And that's true. The administration of U.S. President Joe Biden has been trying to push through another $60 billion in military assistance for Kiev, but its attempts have so far been derailed by the Republican lawmakers who want to make additional aid conditional on increased funding for security on the U.S. border with Mexico. And that's another issue. You have sleeper cells already established within U.S. soil because Babylon the Great, aka America, is a country of unwalled villages. Russian forces repelled the Western-backed counteroffensive last year, and according to the Defense Ministry in Moscow, have been steadily improving their positions along the entire front line in the past few months. And last week, Moscow announced the capture of Avdiivka, a major Ukrainian stronghold near the city of Donetsk, which since 2014 has served as a staging ground for strikes on the capital of Russia's Donetsk People's Republic. And this article further shows that they were lying in saying that Ukraine was winning all along. These truthful articles of RT are breaking the current lies of the Ukrainian strongholds. That's why Elon Musk, as you can see here, said Ukraine growing weaker by the day. Musk, you see? So it's not only RT saying it, but also Elon Musk confirming that Ukraine is growing weaker by the day. Further reading says, read more, U.S. secretly seizes Venezuelan jumbo jet. Further reading says, Maduro's statement was made ahead of the visit to Venezuela by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who landed in Caracas early on Tuesday. During his trip, the diplomat is scheduled to hold talks with both the Venezuelan president and the country's foreign minister, Ivan Gil Pinto. There you have it. The Russians are defeating the West and Ukraine. And since the very beginning of this war with Russia, Ukraine, and the West, the men of the Lord, Yahweh, Yahushai, have been telling you that Russia has prophecy to fulfill. Not even these heavy embargoes and sanctions placed upon the Russians will deter or discourage them to come up against the West in an all-out nuclear war. They have prophecy to fulfill. Biblical prophecy has said that the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, shall stir up the nations along with the kings of the Medes to wage war. It is the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, that mustereth the host of the battle. He's controlling everything, even the steps of war. And the Lord has chosen the Russians to fulfill his will against Babylon the Great. And no one can come against that. It is biblical prophecy. Isaiah chapter 13 and 4. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai of hosts, hosts meaning armies, mustereth the host of the battle. This goes to show you that the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai controls everything in existence, even all these current wars that are taking place. And the Lord has the perfect view when it comes to the chessboard. All these nations are the chessboards. And the Lord is controlling all the players. The Lord is the best chess player. And he has a perfect view of the nations. And is controlling the nations. The Lord himself is a man of war, according to the scripture of Exodus 15 and 3. The etymology of the word muster, which is a verb, means to collect, assemble, or bring together in a group or body, especially for military service. And when soldiers muster, they gather together in one place in order to take part in military battle. The Lord will gather all nations in the valley of Jehoshaphat for the sole purpose of war. And with that being said, let's go over to Joel 3 and 1. Joel 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. And this scripture is not implying that the 12 tribes will go into slavery under the nation of Edom and the rest of these heathen nations once again. No, it's not speaking about that. Let me say that again. This scripture is not implying that the 12 tribes will go back into slavery under the nation of Edom and the rest of these heathen nations. Again, no. In other words, the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, shall bring back the captivity of the 12 tribes of Israel unto himself in worship and in obedience. That's what it's saying. Joel 3 and 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Jehoshaphat, meaning Yahweh Shaphat, which means the Most High's judgment or Yahweh's judgment. The Lord shall plead with them through war due to the other nations partaking in the scattering, due to the nations partaking in the scattering, oppression, and destruction of the children of Israel, which consists of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. The Lord works in perfect balance, and in time these other nations will reap what they have sown. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. The Lord Yahweh Wa Yahushai is now preparing the armies of the nations for the sole purpose of war. That's why this RT article of February 20th, 2024 also says that world leaders no longer working toward peace. Serbian president. It also goes on to read that the Serbian leader said he had concluded that the word peace appears to have become unloved and unwanted throughout the world. And biblical prophecy has also said that for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. So there is no peace in sight. We are in the time of war. So in these end times, the modern day Medes shall be stirred up along with their allies to come up against modern day Babylon the Great. And the modern day Medes are the Russians, Gog and Magog. They shall come up against Babylon the Great, which is America. No longer is America the big bully in town. Now Russia is the new bigger bully in town. Those new sanctions that they are planning against the Russians to put further upon the Russians shall also backfire. Remember that the Lord is the one that's controlling the steps of men, and he is the one that's controlling the wars. The Lord Yahweh Wa Yahushai mustereth the host of the battle. And the Lord's will shall be fulfilled in the taking out of Babylon the Great. The scripture says that it shall become desolate without an inhabitant. And there you have it. No peace in sight. And the Russians are winning the war. But with that being said, Kaulallah Malak Yahweh Wa Yahushai Bahashem Rahak Wadash, and double honors to the elders of Jemas Ruel, blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Barakatah.